Hi everyone, welcome to my channel JS2 Big Data. In this tutorial, I will talk about how to handle time series data in pandas. So time series data are also referred to as time-stamped data. So it's basically a sequence of data where time is the index. So time is the primary element of that data. For example, stock price over time, weather forecasting data, annual sales reports of a company. So these are all good examples of time series data. So if you want to know more about time series data and you want to understand what are time series data, you can refer to this link called influxdata.com, and here they have explained it quite nicely about time series data. For example, if you look at the Dow Jones Industrial Average Index, you can see the index value over the time. What was its value 1 month back, 6 months back, 1 year back, and what is the current price of Dow Jones Index. So any data where time is the x-axis and time plays as the primary key of that data, we refer such data as time series data. So what we will learn as part of this tutorial is how can we handle such data in pandas. There are other libraries and other approaches to solve time series problems in data science, but we are not going to discuss all that here. We will only focus on learning it from pandas perspective. So let's get started. So what we have is we have a data that is historical quotes. So it's basically a stock price of a particular stock. So if you look at this data, what it has is it has something called date column, which explains when this data was captured for which specific date, and it explains what was the closing price of that particular stock, how many volume or what was the volume of the stocks that traded in that specific day, what was the open price, the high and low price of that particular stock in that specific day. So for example, 208 was the closing price on 2019 July 23rd, and this is the volume that traded. You can also see the open price, what was the high price and what was the low price for that specific stock in that particular day. Okay. So what we will do is we are going to load that data into our data frame, and of course we need to import pandas as PD. So we have done that, and you can see that it has imported the data. I have a auto generated index here 0 to 252. I have a date column, and obviously first one is just the time, there is no date associated with it. So we'll see what it means when we process that. You can also see the closing price, volume, open, high and low. Okay, and that's exactly what we see when we do df.head, right, the top 5 rows. What I am really interested into is I am interested into knowing the type of date column. Okay, so let's just check what is the type of date column, and to do that what I'll do is I'll just type df.date, and I'm just picking up the first value. You can pick up the second value as well, right, and we are just going to check its type. So if you check its type, it is of the type string, but what exactly we need is we want to make sure that this column is processed as date when we deal with timestamp data or time series data. So remember, there are two approaches to process this. One is while loading the data we can specify which columns are the date columns, or we can load the data and then at a later stage we can also convert those columns into date. So first one we will do is we will try to load it as date. While loading only we will set it as date. So let's get into that. So that's what we are going to check now. So we are going to load the time series data and then we will see how to process it. So if you look at this example, I have specified the file here, and what I am saying is parse dates, and I am specifying the column which needs to be processed as dates. So in my case there is just one column which is date, so I have specified that. And I also told you in time series data the time that matters as your primary key. So in this example what we will do is we will set date as the index of our data frame. Okay, so let's process this, and you can see exactly what I mentioned, right? So date is processed as the index, and we'll make sure that this is coming as the type date, and then you have the close, volume, open, high, low, and so on. Okay, one thing to note is I only had the value called 16, right? But this one has appended the current date. So today's date has the value in it. So it has considered the current date plus it has added the time in it, and it has formulated the complete date and time. Okay. And you can also perform descriptive statistics, which what it is. You can also check the different types of data types of the columns. You can also see what are the min, max values and so on. So this is all good. What I really want to show you is, now that you have data in date and time format, what operations we can perform or how we can perform the filtrations or slicing of the data, right? Let's say I want to access the data that is in August 2019. Okay, so I want to see what all are the values of the stocks, what was the open and close prices and the volumes and so on for the entire month, that is August 2019. So how can I do that? Okay, so all I will do is I'll write data frame and then I'll specify the year dash the month. Okay, and then I'm just going to run it, and you can see that it has shown me all the data that of that specific month. You can see for that month I had till 9th, so you can see the data, right? One important thing I want to also mention here is, you can see there is some warning here, right? So what it says is that you should stop using this syntax. Instead you should use the frame, which is your data frame, dot location function, dot loc, right? Let's use that syntax what is recommended. So instead of directly passing it to the data frame, which you will see on the internet most of the time, most of the sites would recommend you to use this because that's the old way of doing it. We will use the new syntax. Okay, so df.loc, and I am specifying the year and the month, and if I just run it, I get what I wanted. And again, since this is a data frame, I can perform different operations on top of it. If I want to find the mean of the closing values, I can also do that for that particular month, right? And there can be also time when you want to perform a range operations, right? So you want to filter the data between certain years or certain months. So in this case what we want is, let's say I want to filter the data between 2019 January 1st to August 9th, right? So I can do that easily as shown here. So what I'll do is I'll use the df.loc function. I'll pass on the max date and the min date here, and then I'll just run it. Okay, so you can see that there are 153 rows of data that is present. Okay, so that's pretty much the basic operations that you would do, right? the filtrations, and then you know how to carry out the other operations or the statistics operations, and I have covered all those in the previous tutorials as well, right? So one approach that we have seen is how we can load the data and set the date columns, right? The second one that I want to talk about is how I can process the times later. So to do that, I have used a different format of times just to give you different examples. So I have used here something called Unix timestamps. So Unix are your Linux operating systems, right? And in this case, what I'm using is I'm using a very interesting file called popularity-contest file. So what this file basically has is a record of the recently used programs. Okay, so every time you access a program in your operating system keeps tracks of it, like when you opened it, when you closed it, what was the program location, where it is installed, and so on. If you want to know more about it, you can just go to this link, and it will explain you what this file has and so on. Okay, so basically what this file has is, it has, you know, two type of timestamp information, and the first one is called access time and the second one is called creation time. So what it has is, it has basically two types of timestamp information. First one is A time and the second one is C time. So A time is basically your access time and C time is your creation time of the program. Okay, and it has also package name, it also has different tags and all that information. So if you look at that file, it would look something like this. This is your popularity contest. Okay, maybe a little small on your screen to see, but this is how it would look like. So it has the A time, C time, the program name, the location where it is installed, and then additionally you can have a tag here. Okay, so we are just going to load that data first, and then we'll see how we can process the timestamp informations. Okay, so I'm going to load that data, and the last row doesn't have the information related to what I'm looking for, so I'm just ignoring the last row of the data. And this one is like a text file which is separated by white spaces, so I'm just using the separator as white spaces instead of comma or slash or dash or anything special. Okay, and then I'm specifying the columns here: A time, C time, package name, mru-program tag, and so on. I have loaded the data, so it is popcorn, so popularity contest basically, and I'm just going to see the data, what it would look like, and you can see that it has A time, C time, package name, mru-program, and tag, and of course it has auto generated index, right? And if I want to know the type of, you know, the field A type, right, what sort of content it has, you can see that it has something called string, and same would come for C type also, so it will come as string. But you know, right, we want to process them as date or date timestamp, right? And so what we can do is, we will convert strings to integer, and then we'll convert integer to date time. Okay, there is a function in Panda called toDateTime, so we'll just do that. So we are doing it the same thing here. So we are converting the strings to integer first. You can also convert it to long, so not a problem. Okay, so we did that, and next what we will do is, we will convert those integers back to toDate. Okay, so you can read more about this function on Pandas official documentation, and here if you really see, there is something called the unit, right? So what it means is, what you want to convert it to, so to what level you want to go to. You want to also consider the nanosecond, millisecond, microsecond, or you just want to go till seconds, right? And in our case, just till second is fine for us. So hour, minute, and seconds, right? This is what we will do. And now if I want to see the data type of this field atime, and it would come as datetime 64. Okay, so m8 ns nanoseconds is nothing but your datetime field. Okay, so now we understood like atime and ctime are our date fields. Okay, and to confirm, we'll obviously print the data, and if I print it, I can see that these are very nicely come as date and time, right? So I have hours, minutes and seconds, the seconds that I was talking about. We are not considering millisecond and microsecond, nanoseconds and so on. And you can also see some fields doesn't have tags, so there is NN, and some fields has the tags, so that's fine. Let's consider some use case. So let's say I want to find what all programs I recently installed apart from the system libraries. Okay, so we'll consider this access time atime, and we'll remove everything that has very old timestamp in it, and then we'll just sort it out in ascending order. We'll remove everything that has lib here in the mru program directory, or maybe we'll just remove the lib from package name. We don't need to touch the mru program. Okay, so in the package name, if something has lib, then we'll just remove it for simplicity, and then we'll see what all programs we installed recently. So that's what we'll do now. So I have removed all the values which were very older than or earlier than 1970. So we are getting rid of that. So anything greater than 1970 is there. Okay, and next obviously I'm removing anything that has lib. I did that, and I'm also going to sort it out in ascending order, right? And then I'm just picking up the top 10. So I'll just put head 10 here. That's a better syntax. So you can see that the recent applications are like DDD, Node.js, then there are some more applications, and then there is PostgreSQL, PHP 5 and so on. Okay, so which means these are the applications that I recently installed according to the popularity contest. Okay, so this is pretty much about time series tutorial, and you have seen how I casted a timestamp into datetime object, and we can either cast it later, or we can also while loading the data frame we can also set that. And most importantly, I also want to mention about these two links from where I picked up the examples, and this is the link from where I was motivated to create this material. So make sure you also read it from here if you need more information. So that's it about handling the time series data in pandas. So thank you so much for tuning in. If you have not liked and subscribed my channel, please do that. Please like this video, share it with others, and thank you so much. I will see you in the next tutorial. So if you like the content that I create, please do like and subscribe my channel. Thank you so much.